It's Election Day in Los Angeles. Coming up, we'll hear how many Angelenos turned out to vote.
Several prominent media players are speaking tonight at Annenberg about President Trump's relationship with the press.
And more Jewish centers are the target of bomb threats across the country. We'll see how the White House is responding.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
That's terrible. That's terrible. I wish everybody would vote. Everybody should vote. And why they don't, I don't understand. But it's sad. It's sad.
Los Angeles voters have turned out, or rather haven't, for Election Day. Good evening, I'm Jake Ingracia.
And I'm Juliet Muir. Annenberg Media's Tommy Brooksbank is live at the Hoover Recreation Center, one of hundreds of polling places across the city. How's the turnout where you are, Tommy?
Thanks, Juliet. Folks are still trickling in here to the Hoover Recreational Center to cast their ballots for the election today. Angelenos are deciding on some of the most important and controversial issues that the Los Angeles area is facing. One of these is Measure S, which will put a 2-year moratorium on building permits in the city, as well as Measure H, which would expand resources for the homeless. Now, voters are also deciding on the primary race for mayor, and current mayor Eric Garcetti is a heavy frontrunner, but it all depends on who turns out for the actual election today. Now, I'm joined with LaDonna.
Well, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties, but the LA County Clerk is reporting approximately 9% of voter turnout as of 5 p.m. in today's election. That's even lower than the last countywide election. LA residents have the chance to vote for mayor, council members, and different ballot measures today. Voters want to have their say on issues that are important to them, like Measure H to combat homelessness.
The homeless issue, it's just shameful that so many homeless people you see around, and hopefully this one initiative passes, maybe something will be done about it.
I would like to end the homelessness, and you need to vote for the people who work for it.
The LA County Clerk says mail-in ballots were an indicator of voter turnout.
Turnout appears to be relatively low in this election cycle. We were probably hovering around 14 to 15% of our vote-by-mail ballots returned.
LA officials feared for low voter turnout, and as you can see, they might be right. Even though measures and positions on the ballot affect LA residents, not many showed up to vote today.
This is one of those votes that I guess a lot of Angelenos don't really care about.
Some USC students weren't aware there was an election.
I didn't vote today because I wasn't aware that there was an election happening.
Campaigning for the mayor wasn't as kind of like apparent, I guess, in public.
But LA leaders are trying to increase future turnout. In 2020, city elections will coincide with gubernatorial and presidential elections instead of happening in alternate years.
Sadly, we just continue to see apathy in voter turnout, especially in these off-cycle elections.
Voters still have until 8 tonight to head to the polls and vote. Now let's go back to Tommy at the Hoover Recreation Center. Tommy?
Thanks, guys. We're back here with LaDonna Bullock. She is an LA County election official. LaDonna, thanks again for joining us tonight.
Welcome.
So how has it been looking tonight? Have there been a lot of people coming out to the polls today?
It's been more than we thought, but not as many as we hoped for.
Okay, not as many as the November election, right?
Not at all.
Okay. Why do you think that is?
I think they're not as interested. It's just that simple. They're not as interested.
And do you expect there to be more people tonight, or is it going to be kind of winding down now?
Usually we can kind of get a flood right before 8, and we look forward to that because it perks up the evening.
Definitely. And how many, when will the ballots be counted? When can we expect to hear results from the election tonight?
Well, I'm not certain about that because we'll count ours and then turn them in as soon as the evening's over.
Well, thanks, LaDonna, for joining us. And if you haven't had a chance to cast your ballot yet, the polls will be open until 8 p.m., so you still have a chance to come down. But for now, I'm Tommy Brooksbank. Back to you at the desk.
Tommy, thanks for that report. And representatives from several media outlets are here at Annenberg to discuss President Trump and his relationship with the press. Our reporter Madison Weil is listening in outside. Maddie?
Hi, Jake. As you can see behind me, the discussion of panelists is underway. We have representatives here from Breitbart, Fusion, the LA Times, the Young Turks, FoxNews.com, and former CNN White House correspondent Jessica Yellen, all here tonight to discuss the challenges of political reporting under a Trump presidency. Panelists will be discussing fake news and how the media needs to adapt and evolve in today's political climate. Students have been lining up and filling the lobby since 5:30, eager to get a good seat for the event. They told me they're looking forward to hearing from the experts.
I'm really excited to be here because in my classes we're going over a lot of this stuff, and in like case law and like in Supreme Court cases we talk about how important it is for the press to have a say and be able to speak the truth to the public.
I'm like a senior, and a lot of the times I wouldn't like come to this stuff, but now that I'm a senior and I'm leaving soon, I'm like trying to, take advantage of all these events.
Students are continuing to file in. It's standing room only at this point for those eager to hear from the experts on a wide range of topics. Back to you, Juliet and Jake. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks for that, Maddie. And the Los Angeles County District Attorney will not charge 2 USC football players with sexual assault. The DA's office says there is insufficient evidence to prove the allegations against Don Hill and Osa Messina. Both players have been suspended from the team, and Messina is still facing charges of rape in Salt Lake City. His trial is set for this summer.
WikiLeaks has released thousands of documents which it says expose CIA surveillance methods on Americans. Annenberg Media's Alex Salvi has more on what's in the documents.
Thanks, Juliet. In its latest release of secret documents, now known as Vault 7, WikiLeaks is accusing the CIA of hacking into common household devices in order to spy on people in the country. WikiLeaks says the documents provide evidence that the CIA used surveillance tools to listen into smartphones, computers, and internet-accessible televisions, even when they're turned off. The organization accuses the CIA of routinely using hacking techniques to make it look like they were Russian hackers. WikiLeaks further claims that the CIA was reckless in its handling of cyber weapons, which have since been stolen and may be in the hands of foreign spies.
As it turns out, these documents exist all the time because even in the defense and intelligence community, we have to communicate, and people communicate in that environment. They have to share knowledge. They make PowerPoint presentations. They make documents. They describe these things because they've got to describe their work to other teams that they have to work with.
While today's leaks were the largest ever against the CIA, WikiLeaks has named it Year Zero, saying it's the first of many to come. Now, WikiLeaks fired off a tweet storm pointing the finger at CIA and MI5 agencies for collaborating on the data collecting activities. Wikipedia also posted a number of different charts to better understand the 8,000-page leak. And Edward Snowden, an infamous WikiLeaks source, went to Twitter saying, "What WikiLeaks has here is a genuinely big deal and looks authentic." He further elaborates the language of the document, saying that the CIA knew of security defects in Apple and Android products, but wanted to exploit them rather than fix them. Now, California Senator Ted Lieu also went to Twitter saying that if the documents have merit, there should be an immediate investigation. Now, the CIA has declined to say whether the published documents are genuine or not, although an official response is expected as early as tomorrow.
Thanks, Alex. And several more Jewish centers in the Anti-Defamation League were targets of bomb threats today. In Chicago, a Jewish day school was evacuated for several hours while the police investigated the hoax.
We received a threat. We evacuated our students and our faculty and staff and parents who are here volunteering, and everybody is safe, and we feel, and this is exactly what has been going on all over the country.
In addition to Chicago, threats were reported in New York, Rhode Island, Wisconsin, and Florida. Earlier today, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer spoke out against the threats.
We denounce these latest anti-Semitic and hateful threats in the strongest terms. It is incredibly saddening that I have to continue to share these disturbing reports with you, and I share the President's thoughts that he fervently hopes that we don't continue to have to share these reports with you. But as long as they do continue, we'll continue to condemn them and look at ways in which we can stop them.
And more than 120 bomb threats have been reported against Jewish centers since January 9th. Today, all 100 senators signed a letter calling for President Trump to step up security at Jewish temples, schools, and community centers.
The new GOP healthcare plan would make significant changes to the Affordable Care Act. An advisor on the Republican congressional leadership explained some of these changes during a campus discussion today.
It includes mechanisms to expand coverage, to reduce cost. It includes questions, resolution to questions around how to help those who have pre-existing health conditions. I think one of the big questions that remains is how the Congressional Budget Office will view the coverage and cost mechanisms under this piece of legislation.
Here are some of the proposed changes. The proposal will drop penalties against people who don't have health insurance for up to 63 days. After that, people without insurance may pay up to 30% higher premium. Those premiums will be based on age, so plans could be cheaper for younger enrollees. It would also phase out federal funding for Medicaid expansion. The way the government funds that program will also be changed. We spoke to some USC students who say they're worried about the proposed changes.
I suffer from a couple medical problems, and if we hadn't have had health care, it would have been extraordinarily difficult.
I'm pretty disappointed with Republicans because a lot of people say that the Affordable Care Act did a lot of good for them, and it seems to be working in America.
I think that health care is something that should become more of a universal right, so I'm hopeful that they will not decrease the number of people enrolled.
Some Democrats believe the GOP bill will leave millions of Americans uninsured, and some Republicans argue the changes don't go far enough. They're calling the bill Obamacare light. The Republican leadership says they're confident the bill will be passed by early April.
And the UC system is considering a cap on out-of-state student admissions.
And an LA youth group marched to LA City Hall today. See what they want local leaders to do to prevent crime.
And weather anchor Amin Lee takes a look at an organization that's teaching kids to reduce, reuse, and recycle.
So good to see you guys. So, what's up? Oh, we finally bought a place. Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on... Is it good?
Oh, God.
Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
That's low, that's low. That's low and below.
Look, he's blushing.
Seriously.
What do you think it would be like to teach? Chances are, you have no idea. Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places, and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable. That's what it's like to teach.
For the first time, the University of California is considering limiting the number of out-of-state students that can enroll in UC schools. This comes after lawmakers last year threatened to hold back $18.5 million if UC didn't put a cap on out-of-state students. They say it will hurt California applicants to have so many spots going to those from other countries and out of state. Today, UC officials are hoping the proposed 20% limit system-wide, giving Californians top priority, will be enough to get state officials to release those funds. Now, the three most popular campuses, UC Berkeley, UC San Diego, and UCLA, would be allowed to keep their current percentages higher than 20%, but not increase them. The other campuses will be allowed to grow to 20%, up from the current system-wide average of 16.5%. UC spokeswoman Diane Klein said today, quote, "The policy is very clear. Non-residents will be in addition to and not in place of California residents." College counselor Stacy Blackman says the cap will help balance student diversity with funding.
It's just a way to maintain some out-of-state presence, which is needed for funding and also is really beneficial to kind of the diversity of the student population, but to cap it so that it's available to in-state residents.
And USC student California resident Mackenzie Weil was rejected from UCLA. She hopes the out-of-state cap will help good students get the spots in the UC system they deserve.
As a California resident, it can be a bit disheartening to work so hard in high school and get the grades and test scores that are needed to get into a great school like that and not be admitted over out-of-state students who may be paying more.
It's not yet clear whether the UC's proposal will satisfy state officials, triggering the release of that $18.5 million of state funding.
Well, Jake, that's not the only thing that's happening on college campuses. It looks like spring break is just around the corner, and we're looking at some good weather for that.
With spring break right ahead, Amin Lee, are we going to see some warm weather in the future?
Guys, good evening everyone, and Californian weather is getting ready as you are preparing for spring break. And right now we are at 66 degrees. And going to tomorrow's weather, our inland area is heating up with temperatures at around 80 degrees. And now similar conditions over the coast, around 80 degrees and with some wind coming over from the north. And near USC, temperatures are hovering over around low to mid 80s and clear skies and breezes. LA is definitely looking good. And here comes our 5-day forecast. As I said, spring break is around the corner, so is California and sunshine. 80s throughout the week, and we're expecting sunny days basically every day. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get tanned. Now, one man's trash is another man's treasure. In this case, I'm talking about real trash. A nonprofit organization is transforming what we throw away into something worth saving.
Plastic water pipes, cardboard tubes, these were once unwanted materials. But with some imagination and creativity, children are turning them into something cool, like this recycling machine. Trash for Teaching is an organization that encourages children to provide a home for these materials, a home other than a landfill. It hosts workshops and public events like this one at the Santa Monica Pier.
I think the importance of teaching kids to recognize materials as not trash, but to see that they have other creative uses for them.
Parents are hoping their children become protectors of the environment.
I just think it shows them about sustainability and that you can use recycled materials to do cool stuff and to build things with. So hopefully, it gives them a good sense of environmental awareness.
Trash for Teaching hosts workshops not only for kids, but also for adults every week at their warehouse in Gardena.
Looks like a really great project and a great way to recycle. Thanks for that, Almond.
Students and teachers demanding more money for youth programs marched 3 miles through downtown LA to City Hall.
Whole street, whole street, whole street, whole street.
Convert 5% of the city's law enforcement budget. Activists say the proposal would benefit the whole community.
A violence-free space where people can just express themselves. And what we're trying to do is basically get 5% of the unrestricted LAPD's budget so we can fund ourselves and help the communities rejoice and become what it once was, a great community.
Well, I think these programs will help our youth significantly. I myself was incarcerated as a youth. I went to Los Padrinos Hall, and because of programs like this, I'm able to get my high school diploma now. I'm able to take a different direction in my life, and I think that benefiting people who benefit from these youth centers would probably want to change their lives as well,
The group says investing in the community will help young people out of jail. They say this proposal would fund 30 new youth centers, 350 intervention workers, and create 15,000 jobs.
Well, I know it hasn't been too long since the Rose Bowl, but I'm starting to miss that USC football.
Me too, but I heard that the Trojan football team is back in action today. Let's go to our sports anchor, Nathan Desai, with more.
That's right, guys. Thank you so much. Spring football practice starts today, and we'll give you a first look at how the Trojans are shaping up for next year. And we also talked to a superstar athlete that has won 75 matches in a row.
Down what the men's basketball team needs to do to punch their ticket to the big dance. Stay tuned, sports are next.
If you store your guns properly,
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories.
And I won't have to tell my kids.
This isn't a drill.
Please.
Please, do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always, lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
Get your You're not sitting here. Yes, I am. Move! Give it to him hard! No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stabbing me with it? No.
They want to help,
Ow.
but don't know how.
Oh,
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
To Maddie, congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow, I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money gonna come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Welcome back to ATVN and welcome back USC football. Spring practice kicks off today and the Trojans are stoked to be back on the field. Head coach Clay Helton is glad to be back in action as he tries to build off of last season's success. Departing players have left holes on offense, defense, and even special teams, so younger players will be looking to prove themselves this spring. Practice will continue on Thursday, and spring ball is open to the public, so be sure to head on down to Howard Jones Field. But while we wait for football season to begin, Trojan fans can head to Dato Field to watch the USC baseball team. Right now, SC is in the middle of a day trip to San Diego as they face SDSU, and the Trojans are currently tied 0-0 with the Aztecs. The USC is coming off a huge comeback win in extra innings over UCLA in the Dodger Stadium Classic. On deck for the Trojans is Holy Cross, who will visit USC this weekend. And the #1 beach volleyball team also beat the Bruins this weekend. The team is off to a 2-0 start, and seniors Kelly Clays and Sarah Hughes were named the Pac-12 Pair of the Week after opening the season in dominating fashion.
We tend to have a huge target on our back, and I think we've embraced it. People are always going to play their best against us, and that doesn't matter. We're constantly playing our side of the court. What can we do to better ourselves?
Clays and Hughes have won 75 matches in a row, and they'll look to extend that monumental streak in the East meets West Invitational this weekend. And it's rivalry week on the courts for USC men's tennis. The Trojans have a matchup with UCLA on Thursday. The rivalry is huge at both schools, but the Trojans aren't preparing for this contest any differently.
We try not to make it different. Obviously, you know, there's always going to be a little bit of a difference since it is UCLA, but we don't want to take it or count it as any more important than, you know, any other match. It's just another match in the season, and the big picture is May when NCAAs comes around, and this is just, you know, a step in the road.
SC is looking for revenge after losing to the Bruins a few weeks ago. The two schools will square off at Mark Stadium on Thursday at 3 p.m., and the first 150 fans will get a free grilled cheese sandwich. And you didn't think we forgot about men's basketball, did you? The Pac-12 tournament kicks off tomorrow in Las Vegas, and the Trojans will aim to punch their ticket to the big dance. With me is our sports correspondent Terrence Davis to help break down this bracket. Terrence, it does look really rough here. You got 3 top 10 teams in this bracket. What does USC need to do to make the NCAA tourney?
So the Trojans a month ago were a lock to make the NCAA tournament. However, 4 straight losses in the month of February, and now they're on the fringe of not making the big dance at all. They must beat Washington tomorrow in order to have any opportunity to get into the tournament. The Huskies are 9-21 on the season, so a loss to them would be detrimental to their postseason hopes.
So I know USC just beat Washington on Saturday. Can we expect to see a repeat tomorrow?
It's a good question, Nathan. I'm pretty confident they'll be able to pull it out. They swept the season series against the Huskies, including a 16-point victory at home this past weekend. However, they've never met the Huskies in the Pac-12 tournament. And Washington will be without Markelle Fultz, so this gives USC a huge favorite advantage. However, they can't sleep on the Huskies at all. They'll be led by forward Noah Dickerson, who torched the Trojans for 27 points and 8 rebounds in their last game. He's averaging 12 and 8 on the season. He'll be the focal point of the Washington offense. if Fultz is not playing, so USC needs to take care and look out for him.
So I know when you look at this bracket, it's hard to ignore that UCLA is standing there on the horizon. If USC gets through Washington, how do they shape up against the Bruins?
So the crosstown rivalry matchup between UCLA and USC is a real intrigue. They split the season series between them. However, UCLA destroyed them last game by 32 points at Pauley Pavilion. UCLA has won 9 straight, and they're one of the hottest teams in the country. But USC does have the opportunity to pull off the upset. First, they need to pressure freshman point guard Lonzo Ball and contain him from controlling the flow of the game. He's the Bruins' best player and their catalyst. He's the Bruins' best player and their catalyst for a team that's averaging 91 points on the season. So if they shut him down, then they'll have a better opportunity of pulling off the upset.
All right, thank you, Terrence. You can check out USC play Washington tomorrow night on the Pac-12 networks. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Nathan. We'll check back in with Madison Weil for more on a discussion about President Trump and the press.
We'll be right back.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
She doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice. She's new. Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened? Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Several media outlets are discussing President Trump's relationship with the press in the Annenberg lobby. Let's check back in with Annenberg Media's Madison Weil. Maddie?
Hi, Juliet. Yeah, just to provide you with a little bit of an update here, even more students have begun filing in here just in the last 10 minutes, and our panelists have already begun discussing a wide range of topics. Curtis Lee from the LA Times discussing the importance of fact-checking in journalism, and Hannah Cranston from the Young Turks discussing the influence of social media and how journalists can be using social media to more effectively reach millennial audiences. Now, if you haven't tuned into the event, don't worry, it'll be going on till 7 p.m. right here in the Annenberg lobby. Back to you, Jake and Juliet.
Thanks for watching ATVN. I'm Jake Ingracia.
And I'm Juliet Muir. You can watch us on the web at uscannenbergmedia.com. Good night. Guys, we did it. It happened.